Las Vegas Stadium Authority screws Oakland Raiders in the meeting today. Hi everyone, Zenny Abraham. Another live stream, another evening. This time starting a little bit early. I originally said 8 o'clock, but opted for 8:30 and then spent 5 minutes waiting for this signal to get just so, and then voila, here we are. It has been, to say the least, an interesting day, and I am going to now go about calibrating this live stream show so that it is more easily findable. But thank you very much for joining. I'm going to say that, oh, excellent. Stream status is good. And, yep, back on, excited, got everything. Lease mortgages. AAG 209 here. Hi. Thanks again for your time. Thank you, Ronald. How everybody? Hello, everybody. Hello. I am live. Hey, Raider Kuko, how you doing? My day was great. My day was actually outstanding. Sun Wukong, you are on time? Yes. I'm gonna say something about the whole money man thing. I am not going to spend a lot of time. Good evening. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that because there's so much to talk about between free agency, well, before free agency, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting, and then free agency, that I don't want to waste time with trolls tonight. So I'm going to be a bit more lethal than usual in blocking. So if you come, or if someone has come to just disrupt, they are going to be gotten rid of really quick. Just have to say that. So, sorry, but the bottom line is I do not want to take time away from the Zinsters who have been so kind enough to join in at this time and follow the story and also, think about things. And if they have a disagreement, they disagree. And if they have an agreement, they agree, right? So as soon as I finish putting these meta tags in, which the YouTube Live mobile system setup is such that it has you do this after you've established the live stream, and you can't really do it before, unlike the standard YouTube live stream. It's a bit of a thing, right? But it's a bit of a pain, actually. But, hey, look, it's worth doing. It only takes a few seconds to do. I have some of this preset. But once I get it all preset and in place, I'm going to be rocking and rolling in moments. Well, actually, I am already rocking and rolling because I'm talking to you. But what I'm doing is I'm not on the watch page looking at your questions and comments, okay? Now, that's where I'm at right now. Okay, now, here we go. And I'm going to say, talk about today's Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. Someone on Twitter asked me if I was going to talk about the SNTIC today, or what I thought of it. I said, it's not the SNTIC anymore. And it's not. Now, and I'm going to put one more thing here. Oh boy. Yes, and that's right, NFL and NFL Live. There, okay. Save settings, and here we go. View on the watch page. All right, folks, and now we'll take your questions and comments for this evening. How you doing, Barry? And let's see. Oh, wow, this is interesting. I already have a commercial. Quite fascinating. That was it before I started. That's interesting. Okay, so now let's see here. Who is this? I check your page at MSNBC every time I log in. You're the only non-professional I read every day. Thank you, Barry Lee. How you doing, Barry? Peter Solorio. How you doing, Peter? I live 30 minutes. Peter says, "What's up, Zinni? I live 30 minutes south of Fresno, and all the Raider games show on CBS. Will that continue if they move to Vegas?" I would think so for Fresno, but I would be surprised if that wasn't the case. But Zinster, Vegas looked confused at the meeting today. Yeah, wasn't a good meeting for Raiders. Chris Zamora, hey Zinni, can't wait to hear your info on Oakland Raiders tonight. Raider Libre. Aloha, Plain Booze, how are you? Bio trip, bring it, I will. Maurice Keith, you were right. Davis trying to use a lease mortgage to secure the B of A loan. Yep. That was Suwakong. All right, my bad. Let's see here. Suwakong, you're all on time, actually ahead of me. Greetings, Patrick E. How you doing? Okay, now, here is the recap, folks. I'm going to go down and start. All right, Furlong, is that right? Is it Furlough or Furlough? Fundo, 721, you didn't miss anything. Brandon Murray, do we stay in Oakland? Please say it's looking good. I will say it's looking good. I will say this. Okay, we'll bank, and then Laston 2000, will Bank of America have a first mortgage on the proposed Las Vegas Stadium, or is this a $650 million unsecured personal loan? It's not unsecured. Now, we are waiting. Patrick E., I'm ready. All right. Here is what happened today. The Stadium Authority was entertained, if you will, by Mr. Mark Arnold, who is an attorney and who has been negotiating with the Raiders, or I should say not so much for the Raiders, but with the Raiders organization, and representing the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. He is part of the firm that's under contract, the law firm that's under contract with the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. And what he explained in a nutshell is this, and I've always been told I should explain something like you're a 5-year-old, right? So I'll try that, okay? Here's the skinny. The Raiders, if you remember, introduced, and I have to explain this by a backstory. A few weeks ago, the Raiders introduced a lease proposal that so pissed off Sheldon Adelson, the Las Vegas Sands casino mogul. By the way, if you've never been to the Venetian, you got to visit Las Vegas. That he walked away. Why? Because it was done without him or his deputies at Las Vegas Sands, but also because it didn't include any percentages that would go to him, but mostly because it was done without his involvement. So they felt like they were blindsided. It also didn't treat UNLV properly, giving the overall picture that, hey, the Raiders have the option to consider whether or not they want to have an UNLV their game there under certain conditions. It wasn't friendly to UNLV at all. It pissed everyone off in Las Vegas who cares about the University of Nevada, Las Vegas getting a new football stadium. So what happened was that the organization, the new Las Vegas, now Clark County, I believe, Stadium Authority, took a look at this, at the lease proposal, and they found something else that was wrong with it. Basically, it says in the Raiders lease proposal, I want you to understand it, this is in the Raiders lease proposal, okay? What happened was that the Raiders lease proposal says that something called the Stadium Events Company would be one person, not a corporation, but one person, designated by the Stadium Authority, but put in position only at the thumbs up of the Raiders. That's in the document, okay? And if you like, I can go and find the document in my file and pull it up and look for it, but I would imagine you don't want to sit there while I shift through that. But the bottom line is the organization is such that between, I say organization, I mean an organization, I mean the organization is such that in the Raiders lease proposal, the operations and payments and revenue and expenses of stadium operation would go to the Stadium Authority. Now you would say, no, it's the Stadium Event Company. In the same lease proposal document, the Raiders specifically stated that it would be their view that the Stadium Events Company and the Stadium Authority were one and the same. Okay? One and the same. That is completely different than what Senate Bill 1 reads. But the Raiders structured the proposed lease agreement that way to take the liability off their hands, to take stadium shortfalls off their hands, to take any responsibility for maintenance of the stadium beyond game days off their hands. That was the idea. The trouble is, Senate Bill 1 does not allow that. Senate Bill 1 specifically calls for a stadium events company that is a corporation with a board of directors that is chosen and essentially works with the team and the developer. Right now there is no developer. There's really just the team. That's the Raiders. So let's say the Raiders hire or contract with Anschutz Entertainment Group, AEG, to be the stadium operator, much the same way that the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda, through its Joint Powers Authority, have brought in AEG to run the Coliseum for them. And the Raiders are a tenant, you see? So there's a difference of assignments. But see, in the current situation with the Raiders here, the Raiders are not responsible for, liable for, day-to-day operation of the stadium and the securing of events for the stadium. The Raiders don't have anything to do with that, okay? Nothing. Nothing to do with that. But in Vegas, it would be all in their lap because of the way the Senate bill is written. The Raiders don't want that. So the Raiders piled, and here I'm going to curse, they piled crap on crap. I didn't curse. When they structured the deal with Bank of America, as it was acknowledged by the Stadium Authority, as I've told you, the Raiders have a problem in that Bank of America would normally want as collateral the stadium, except they don't own it. Clark County does. So what they've done is they've attached the tenancy. The tenancy. In other words, the Raiders as tenant in the stadium would belong to the Stadium Authority, to Bank of America, if the Raiders defaulted on the Bank of America loan. And the way it works from the Stadium Authority's perspective, okay, is that if Bank of America defaults, if the Raiders default on the Bank of America loan, then the Raiders would become homeless. Their tendency would essentially be taken over by Bank of America. No, I don't mean to imply that Bank of America would suddenly be running its own football team. No. So my point is that, that's merely in terms of assignments. Sorry, I had a little bit of interruption there. That's merely in terms of assignments, okay? So my point is that you've got, the situation is that not only would the Raiders be essentially on paper homeless, but if Bank of America could not fulfill its obligations with respect to the filling of events through the stadium event company that it's working with, or pay them, okay, then assignment of operational authority with respect to the stadium events company falls to, that's right, the Stadium Authority. That's if the Raider bonds default. So the Raiders are in a bad situation where they could wind up being kicked out, without say, being kicked out of their own tenancy if they default on the Bank of America bond. Now, that's the first problem. The second problem didn't come up in the meeting, but it was raised by the Nevada Department of Transportation today when it told the Las Vegas Review-Journal that the Raiders would have to pay for all of or some part of the $900 million transportation cost that the stadium would bring on. That's on top of the $350 million infrastructure, land and infrastructure cost that they had budgeted for, bringing the cost of the stadium to $1.9 billion. Well, I've got news for you folks. It just went up a lot. Let's say that, for grins, we divide that in two. So we say that the stadium cost is up to $450 million. Excuse me. The stadium cost goes up by $450 million, right? So we've got basically something that goes from 1.9 million to roughly 2.4 billion in its cost. That's a huge chunk. And the question is, where are the Raiders going to get the money to pay for that? Is Bank of America going to wrap that into its line of credit obligation? That's a huge chunk. Okay? So the Raiders were not there to respond because Steve Hill didn't ask them to come. And as a result, we didn't get Mark Bedane having a hissy fit over that, making that news public. Because there certainly would have been a session where someone would have asked for his reaction to this and his take, and that would have been recorded, and the noise and volume from the meeting would have been multiplied by a factor of 20. See? Now, all right. To your questions. Here we go. All right. I've got, hey, Hector, how you doing? You're saying, sounds like they aren't moving. Much love and respect, Z, but you keep saying Nevada wrong. Noe Robo, it's not that I'm saying that they're wrong. Look, everybody I've talked to, I had a great conversation with a person whose name I cannot mention, who is a top sports finance expert, works with a number of teams in Major League Baseball, hockey, and the NFL, and well known by the league. And he told me, we talked for a great hour today. And basically, what he said was, hey, look, I don't understand why someone's not saying to Mark Davis, this is a crazy deal, don't do it. Because you're leaving the Bay Area, which is rich. He said, you can't make money here, and you're the Raiders? And you're going to go to a place that's basically just less than 1/3 the size? You know, this is simple economics. These are just simple points people who are finance experts are making. And my background's in urban economics, okay? It's not journalism. This is in my wheelhouse. So everyone who has half a brain is saying, what is Mark Davis smoking? All right? What is Mark Davis smoking? Because, no, I haven't even mentioned the relocation fee. I say $550 million. It hasn't been determined by the NFL yet. Others say it's not true. No one knows what it's going to be yet. But what I do know is this. You put that relocation fee on this $2.4 billion cost, and suddenly you're looking at $3 billion involvement. And if Bank of America is going to place a loan on all of that, I just cannot see them doing that. Now, what I'm told is that what they would most likely do is take part of it and finance it, and they would sell the rest of it to other banks. Okay? That's what they would do. So, now, as far as, that's the other part of the equation. The other side of the equation with respect to Oakland and Fortress is this. I'm going to be blunt with you. They're really a concern, and we talked about this last night, that the NFL is rigging the system against them. Because, as I pointed out to you before, and I'll point out to you again, for the first time since 1996, Oakland has a focus on building a new stadium, the county and the city, which were once the whipping boys of media people who kept pointing to, hey, they can't get along, and saying, how can anything get done if the city and county are always warring with each other, are not warring with each other and haven't been for about a year plus. So we are in an excellent position, the best position we've been in a long time, to get a stadium built for the Raiders with technically no taxpayer exposure, okay? That's really huge. We've done, Oakland, what the NFL asked us to do. We're ready. But what happens is that Ronnie Lott, the Fortress people, the city of Oakland, the mayor feel that the NFL keeps kind of moving the goalposts, right? But if you looked at it honestly, you have to ask yourself this question. Why isn't the NFL giving us, from their point of view, a true picture of the problems in Las Vegas that I'm talking about? All right? Now, let's see here. You constantly say how bad Vegas is, but it seems the NFL doesn't like Fortress. Oh, Elmani, I want to tell you something. That's not true. That stuff about Fortress, about the NFL not wanting to deal with Fortress, I have officially had it confirmed that that's false. So the reporters putting that out, they need to stop because it's wrong. They may not like the deal points of parameters, but no. Bill McKinney, how you doing? How are you? Zinni, did you read what Las Vegas Department of Transportation wants Raiders to pay for infrastructure? Yeah, Bill, that's what I was just talking about. And basically, that's a real issue because, yeah, laugh out loud. Ellis Conway, laugh out loud. That's right. It is funny. Hey, Frederick Walker, how are you? Frederick says, Jason Cole said the relocation fee could be $650 million, but Vinny says it'll be $350 million. You know what, Frederick, I'm going to stick with $500 million because I've talked with Mr. Grubman about this. It hasn't been determined yet, and he keeps telling me that. So it hasn't been determined yet, and ideally you take what the team's franchise value is here, and then you minus what is going to be in Vegas, and that difference is basically your relocation fee. That's what I was told by Grubman when we had that conversation last year as to how they think about that. Okay. Jason Tarver says relocation is $500 million. Silky Raider News Vlogs, how you doing? Casper, how are you? Hi Zinni. Does Grubman always make critical comments against Oakland yet never raises an eyebrow on the problems of Vegas deal? Yes. Also said the project is the collateral. What does that mean? Actually, it's not the project. It's the tenancy. Okay? In other words, it's not the stadium. That's the collateral. It's the tenancy. And what that means is this. As tenant, the Raiders have to pay rent. They have obligations as the organization that runs the stadium events company. The stadium events company collects the revenue from events. The Raiders collect the revenue from game events. Basically, that's the tenancy over a 30-year period, okay? That's what the Raiders are pledging as collateral. They're not pledging the stadium because they don't own the stadium. So it's a way of parsing out a portion of the stadium and saying, we're going to just take that. It's the tenancy. It's not even a specific revenue stream within that. It's the tenancy. In other words, basically, it's like this. Hey, you can't pay us, you're out. We can evict you. You understand? We can evict you. That's the idea. And so, hey, Die Uppy Scum, how are you? And anyway, excuse me. AA209 says, there is an article in the Mercury News that has officials in Vegas wondering how they are going to pay $46 million a year to back the loan. Well, yeah, how the Raiders are going to. Right, in terms of the reload. That was correct. And the way they left it, because I saw that, Stephen Hill said, we'll address your question at the next meeting. He had this look on his face like, oh boy, we're getting into some really deep doo-doo here with these questions, you know. But, hold on a second, please. Okay, I'm trying to, okay, now. Here's the other thing. I'm trying to clear this It won't clear. There we go. Now it clears. Okay, now. Thank you. So Dayapi Scum says, I just did my research on miles between Oakland, Alameda County, Coliseum, and California Memorial Stadium, and Oakland, Alameda County, Levi Stadium. Okay, cool. Gregory Wesley, how are you, Gregory? What does Oakland need to do to get to a yes? Good question. Oakland needs to do, and I understand that Fortress is planning to make the deal public, to show the deal points. I am hoping and praying, hope they should also show the drawings, because that would give us our first real look at what the Coliseum will look like refurbished, okay? So, let's see here. Sue Wokong, crazy idea. Pixar comes to play and builds in Emeryville. Okay, they're already there. The Alpha Male, so the Vegas deal gone through? Nope. Ellis Conway, let Vegas fall. Sue Wokong, I'm just playing, don't shoot me, no problem. Joe and Santos, Zinni, does the lease agreement not being completed help us with the no votes? Yes, it does. Particularly because the subject has to come up among the owners. Why isn't the lease agreement complete? What is the problem? And that would open this Pandora's box of information that's negative about this project. Now, Scully Raider News and Vlogs, you think they will shut down the relocation before the meeting? Well, it's not going anywhere. My thought is, right now, I'm just going to say they're going to go ahead and go through the vote. Anything can happen, but I'm telling you, Mark Davis has to be absolutely crazy to go through with this. It is not in the best interest of the Oakland Raiders. I don't care what city it's in. If you take the label off and say it's Cucamonga and you have these same cost problems, it's stupid. It's patently stupid for the Raiders to do this. And someone is not telling him the truth. The NFL's not telling him the truth. His staff is not telling him the truth. He is making a deal that a person would have to be smoking crack to want to push through. It's that bad, folks. I'm talking from a pure business standpoint. And yeah, I'm gesticulating like Donald Trump in The Apprentice. This thing doesn't work. And someone would say to Mark, in fact, Donald Trump would say to Mark Davis, if this were The Apprentice, you're fired. Okay? This deal is ridiculous. It just is completely awful. Let's see here. Let's see. So all those Oakland-only stadiums. I didn't understand that, Maurice Keith. Barry Lee, I wonder, Zinni, if the NFL is taking into account that Las Vegas right now has numerous projects abandoned, like you think about the Fontainebleau, right? Yeah. And, I don't... That's a good question. I don't believe that they are, but it's a very good point. It's a very good point. Let's see here. I think the vote, Hector Vasquez Jr., how you doing, says, I think the vote will be delayed. Maurice Keith says, this won't even be a Raiders-only stadium. They still got to negotiate with UNLV. Maurice, thank you for bringing that up, because that UNLV situation isn't even settled, as Bousman pointed out to me today when we were talking about it. Hey, UNLV wants changeable artificial turf of a type like field turf, whereas the Raiders want natural grass in a retractable roof dome stadium. There's a rub there, okay? So the Raiders are not making it comfortable, the situation for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. It's like they actually hate them, I get the feeling they don't like them being around. Like, no, this is our stadium. We can't share our stadium with you. Who are you? You're just a college team. How dare them? Wow. That's how it looks to me, all right? Money Man is Mark Bedane. Ha ha ha. Hey, Darren Alana. Welcome. How are you? Let's see here. John Santos. The lawyer hired by the board said outright the numbers don't work. Need more info. John Santos, are you asking me a question? Or saying he said the numbers don't work and you don't understand what that means? Please explain. Ellis Conway, do you think the players are concerned their paychecks may start bouncing in Las Vegas? If they did move, the Raiders will be broke. No, because regardless of... I did my eyes like that because it was a good question. Cha-ching! There's your good question for the day. All right. Here's your answer. No. The players would get paid because regardless of where you take a team, because of the spread of television monies, there's always a base level of revenue they'll make. Period. So from that standpoint, they're not going to go broke, all right, unless they get a huge number of bad money contract deals like the Raiders had at one point when it looked like the Raiders were going broke a few years ago. Fortunately, that's not the case anymore, or so I understand. But the bottom line is the Raiders are getting themselves into a situation where they're going to be leveraged to the hilt like some piss poor South American country. That's how it looks. And I'm stealing a line from Wall Street with Michael Douglas as Gordon Gekko. Now, Bill McKinney. So let me just make sure I didn't skip anybody. Ellis, did I answer your question? Ronald S. Harris. How you doing, Ronald? Finally, let's see the stadium drawings. Let's get some excitement going. Yes, I agree. Scully Raider News Vlogs. Money Man, I guess you're the one who's going to be sorry. Bill McKinney. So it is the Las Vegas Stadium Authority going to cause difficulties for lease agreement? Yes. But remember, that started with the only following Senate Bill 1 in the way that it was written. That's what Steve Hill would say. We're not trying to cause difficulties. This is the way the legislation is written. All right? In fact, the attorney said today, Mr. Arnold, that, in fact, Mr. Arnold was asked the question, is there any wording or language in Senate Bill 1 that you believe needs to be altered? And he said, well, I think it looks fine, except this part about the Stadium Events Company. Now, what else here? AAG 209, the stadium. Sorry, I missed that one. Let's see here. What does it say here? The stadium. Let's see here. Stubborn as Mark Davis needs to admit he was wrong trying to do this, suck up his pride and just say, hey, Oakland, I messed up. Let's go back to home. That's AAG 209. Go Cubs 2017 MLB season. Why can't we see the Oakland Stadium proposal? You will. It's going to be made public soon. Let's see. Ton Nolan, I'm not going to repeat anything negative that is about Mark Davis' character. I'm sorry. So, not here. Let's see. John Santos, the waiter at P.F. Chang's is in his ear. That is funny. Maybe Mark just doesn't want to stay in Oakland. That's what Elmani says. Yeah, but... and then Bill McKinney points out something correct. Clark County Commissioner Chris Giuncini is on the Las Vegas Department of Transportation. Yes. And I don't know if you saw it, Bill, but in the same Las Vegas Review article, she said she doesn't want the Raiders in Las Vegas. She hopes the deal doesn't get done. She has openly said that, okay? Tony Cox says, Bank of America come out yet and made it public that they're officially involved in this? No, they haven't. And Toth Nolan, how the hell has this Vegas nightmare gotten this far? Mark Davis. Maurice Keith, the Stadium Authority wants a development agreement before the lease agreement's in. Well, they're not going to get one that fast. But you can do it. Look, you can do a development agreement okay? But you don't necessarily need to have the lease agreement done. This is how it separates. The development agreement, because I've been involved in development agreements for non-sports buildings, the due diligence and development agreement basically concerns the construction of the building. The lease agreement concerns who does what within the building. That's the difference. Who's responsible for getting events into the building, who's responsible for maintenance in the building, and so on. Who's responsible for changing the drapes in the building, that sort of thing. But the lease agreement does not deal with what kind of materials are used to build the retractable roof, the motors that are used, the machinery, the caissons that are drilled, all of that. Even the location of the land and the azimuth and every longitude and latitude and all that. That's the development agreement, okay? The lease agreement's a different animal. So, you can have a lease agreement done without your development agreement. Okay, just letting you know you can do that. Now, let me go down here. Bottom line, are we staying or leaving? Adam Schechter said we were gone. Now, Adam really didn't say that. I looked at that bottom line, and Adam actually didn't say that. He didn't say that on Twitter. He may have said that verbally, but, Adam has not been right about this stuff before, so what? If Mark is a genius, and I like Adam, he's a friend. He's a good guy. If Mark is a genius puppeteer getting everyone to fight for the Raiders, excuse me, this is Sean Laura, and I agree with this. What if Mark Davis is a genius puppeteer getting everyone to fight for the Raiders until he sees a good Oakland deal? Yes, I agree that's what he's been trying to do for some time. James Sanos, Zinni, is it true that Adelson is trying to destroy the deal? I haven't heard that direct. Well, wait a minute. Hold everything, because the newest development in all this was the Las Vegas Review-Journal putting out that bomb about the Department of Transportation, the cost the Raiders will have to bear, and the fact that Commissioner June Consini said, hey, look, I don't want the Raiders here. That was today. So, and it was by the organization, the Las Vegas Review-Journal, that is owned by the family of Sheldon Adelson. So, there you go. Now, Sheldon strikes again. That's right. Ian French, how you doing? Gabriel Rodriguez, welcome. Top Nolan says NFL is trying to force him out the $750 million and making it hard. David Horta, is there any truth to the rumor that the NFL wants the land for free? In the Raiders case, in the Oakland case, yeah. But I personally don't believe that a club of billionaires should get a hand out from broke Oakland. Now, there are ways to do that, but here's the issue. And we had this conversation last night, and I asked the question again. Why, and I know the answer now, but why is it so important for the Raiders to have, and the NFL to have, land, in our case, or stadium, and not in the Vegas case? The answer from my perspective is that the Raiders want to own the stadium, and therefore it's an extra entity by which they can borrow money from, okay? Because they own it, right? I mean, you want another example of what I'm talking about? Take a look at the situation with what we're talking about right now, where the Raiders don't own the stadium. Okay? Now, let's see here. Adelson owns Vegas. Yes. Oh, John Santos. This is good. Let me scroll up and get this. Let's see here. He was saying the calculations regarding the suite profits didn't add up. All parties get a cut, UNLV concerts, etc. I need to look at that because I'm concerned with whether or not the suites can be purchased and whether or not they'll go into the black in terms of sales, all things considered. I am not convinced the Vegas market is as strong as they are regarding the sale of luxury suites, because my question is, how come hockey, in terms of luxury suite sales, isn't performing as well? How come they haven't sold all of them out? Okay. Just asking. Sometimes I think the euphoria behind this is much larger than the reality. So, but that's developers for you. So, let's see. Adelson, no joke, man. If Raiders somehow made, what do you say? What does it say? Hey, Anthony Antonucci, how are you? This is good, though. This is Ellis Conway. Adelson ain't no joke, man. If Raiders somehow make the move, Sheldon would crap on him hourly. If it gets that far. I think he's already started crapping on him today. Anthony Antonucci. Hey, Zinni, how are you? How big a hit does Mark Davis take to his image by other owners if he fails in his relocation bid? It's turning into a sad joke. Actually, I don't think he does. Because, look, he can always say, I got the better deal in Oakland, and Oakland loves me. Okay? Why does he have to take a bad deal? I mean, look, again, this deal is a stinker. It is a stinker, a stinker, a stinker, and a major stinker. Oh, and not only that, it just smells bad. Okay? P-U-S-A. Or as Jar Jar Binks would say, P-U-S-A. All right? It's bad. Whew. Now, Mark, let's see here. Jeremillo, how are you? Heard Jerry Jones is helping Mark to get investors in Vegas. Not anymore. I heard that too, but not anymore. AAG09, because hockey is boring. Hey, until they fight, right? Daniel Barsinius, because it's hockey. Frederick Walker. Mr. Walker says $650 million loan, 4% with 30 years. Raiders will have to pay $46 million a year. Yeah, you know, that 4% price LIBOR is going to be at 4.44, all right? But here's a big catch. Let's say President Trump gets his way and he forms that import tariff wall around the United States, which jacks up prices. Next thing you know, we're starting to look at it, slow down the economy. Oh, and then there's this. If the Republicans succeed in throwing 20 million people off the health insurance rolls, what's that going to do? It's going to jack up health insurance prices, right? What does that do? Between higher health insurance prices and higher prices because of this import tax, we're going to have an economic slowdown, which spells what? Recession, unless the Fed pumps money into our economy, and even that's no guarantee. We're living the life of luxury right now. We've got a lot of money sloshing around the economy. Trump's threatening to blow that, and that's going to hurt the Raiders project. If I were Mark Davis, I'd be screaming bloody murder that Donald Trump is harming his deal. Just saying. It's a bad deal anyway. Let's see. Jason Cole just tweeted to officials questions Raiders loan with Bank of America. Laugh out loud. Jason Cole is late to the party. Let's see here. Thank you, Pete G. Swampy Waters, do you think that Sheldon Adelson will block the Raiders via his legislative cronies? Could be. Arluck, I'm late. Welcome, though. Ian French, Raiders sign Adrian Peterson. Ho! Whoa! Yo! Wait! Ho! Why yo! Whoa! Whoa! Ho! Whoa! What? Wow! If they throw to him, okay. You know, I say good for the Raiders, but I'm still not. Someone is saying that's not true. I have to see. Wait a minute. Okay, Ian French says that Oakland loves. All right, but Oakland doesn't love Mark Davis, so there'll be no vote. Right, there will be. Zinni confirms Jar Jar Binks is the main antagonist. You're right. Anthony Antonucci, Oakland hates him. If it's such a stinker, why would he give up and start working with? Why wouldn't he have given up and started working with Oakland? Because he's stubborn. I admire AAG209. I admire Libby for putting City Hall first. The city first. Yes. Crawford 371, the Raiders went. John Santos, I agree with giving the land to the NFL. The property tax would pay Oakland big time. Yes. $1.3 billion stadium. Yeah. Jason Tarver, okay, I'm late. What actually happened today? How did LVSA screw the Raiders? I haven't seen anything. Okay. I need some water here. AAG209, but if she loses the Dubs and Nation, she's toast. And then, yeah. Crawford 371, the Raiders went from free money to a loan that makes a student loan look like a friendly bet. AA209, that's not true. What about the whole... You know what? Let me go to... Let's see here. Fake news about AP. All right. Really? Okay. Let me... Money Man told Ian Finch AP. That's funny. Okay, so I'm sorry, Ian Finch. Everyone says... Okay, even Ian French admits it. It's fake news that we signed Adrian Peterson. Fine. All right. Back to what happened. For those of you who are just tuning in and want to recap, all right, here it goes. Can I, do you all mind if I get some water real quick? Give me 1 second. Hold on, just 1 moment. I need to get some water. I should have had something sit here, but 1 moment. All right. Water. And I'm back. Okay. That's better. No, I needed some water there. Okay. No, I didn't die. Yeah, I'm doing a Marco Rubio. Here, I'm doing a Marco Rubio. Okay. Mm. Okay. Donnie, Sunny Duck, sub to me, sub back. I don't know. Don't drink the tap. Actually, California tap water is pretty good. Um, Sunny Duck, sorry, I gotta block you because here's the reason, Sunny Duck. That's not allowed here. Sorry. Goodbye. Okay, there you go. All right, now. Okay, let's get to the serious stuff. Kim Dog, can city council and the county go and do things without Libby if she's trying to sabotage keeping the Raiders here and not wanting to sell land to the NFL Raiders? The way the system works in terms of protocol, the county supervisors and the Oakland City Council defer to the mayor on this. Mainly, they don't want to get any egg on their face if this deal falls flat. They want the mayor to take all the load and then neatly spread it among the county administrators, make sure that they're protected so that the county supervisors and the city council make sure they're protected against any concerns their taxpayer constituents may have. And so far, Libby has done her job in that role excellently. Excellently. All right. Now, any idea why none of the Raiders execs showed up at the meeting? Because Steve Hill asked them not to. Moneyman would tell you to drink the tap in Flint, Michigan. Let me see what I missed here. Let me see here. It is 9:24. I started at 8:37. I'm going to quit at about 9:40 because I was on for too long last night. I was on for too long. Too long. But, okay. Let's see here. Okay, I'm late. Hey, Jason, did I answer your question? Or did I? If I didn't, I would start again. No, because I went to get water. Now I've got my water. I will explain. I'm just tweeting this out real quick for a second. Excuse me. Live. NFL. Live stream. There. And Raiders. There. Okay, cool. All right. Bill McKinney. So why did Steve Hill ask the Raiders not to show up, and Swampy Waters asked why can't a deal get done in Oakland? Because the Raiders, Mark Davis and Mark Bourdain won't come to the table and negotiate with Fortress and Ronnie Lott. A. Even though they're ready. A. B. Now, that's the problem. And they're really frustrated by it because they believe that they have the better deal. Now, John Santos, Zinwalk, Zinni, keep it up, and you and Dr. Death keeping it real. Yeah, thank you. Quinn Baca, how are you? Hello. And Bill, you asked the question. Someone asked the question. I don't want to miss it because I keep going back. And oh, by the way, you can actually buy a super chat. I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let's see here. I can go up and back. There it is. Oh, Swampy Waters. Is what's stopping a deal from getting done in Oakland? All right. And what's stopping a deal, I think I explained that one. Jason Tarver, I'm going to re-explain what happened because you asked and you were late, okay? I'm going to put very simply, the Las Vegas Stadium Authority is asking the Raiders to assume responsibility for stadium operations in the stadium entirely and events through something called a stadium events company, which the Raiders are to identify an organization like, for example, either SMG or AEG, okay? But the bottom line is that if the Raiders default on their Bank of America loan, they lose their tenancy. In other words, they'll be made homeless. They'll be kicked out of their apartment. That's basically how that's set up, all right? Now, then the other news is that the Nevada Department of Transportation announced that they want the Raiders to pay all or some part of or percentage of the $900 million in transportation costs. That's a new load on top of the infrastructure and land costs of $350 million. and the other cost bringing the total stadium's total cost to 2.9 billion. All right, now, Sean Laurie, is Fortress Stadium proposal still the tiny one that Libby talked about a while back? I hope not. You mean the 55,000 one? I think it's been increased, but I'm not certain about that. Now, King of Blacks Media, good work Z. If the vote goes for LV, do you think deal could still fall apart before land breaking? Yes. Look at you want an example? Look at what happened to Fontainebleau. You know, they started building it. The Fontainebleau is, or what was going to be, the luxury hotel in Las Vegas, 70 stories, and it fell apart. If you want an example of the luxury of the Fontainebleau at its place in history, how many people here have seen Goldfinger? Just by a show of yes, and then I'll explain why. Okay. Richard Lucero, how you doing? Richard Ray Archuleta, how are you? Richard Ray Archuleta says, oh, Top Nolan asks a great question. If the Raiders aren't negotiating in good faith, let me get back to that. Excuse me. If the Raiders aren't negotiating in good faith at all, I don't understand how the NFL is just allowing that. Me neither. Richard Ray Archuleta, what percentage of the team does Mark own? 27%, I believe. What are the other owners of the team? I'll get a full list for you. I know there's Abrams and two others, and there's a hole there. The Raiders tried to sell 20% of their team and have tried to do so since 2005. Little known fact, but true. Richard Lucero, what's going on, Zenny? Over here in Gun Barrel, Boulder County, Colorado, delivering. I'm still listed. Go Raiders. Hey, Boulder, Colorado has some of the hottest athletic women I've ever seen in my entire life. Just saying. Now, Richard, yes. Let's see here. Tito Jones, why can't the NFL see if they have to give them $100 million extra for their stadium? Where are they going to come up with all this other extra money? That's a lot of that spread is assumed in terms of revenue capture from luxury boxes. The question is, can the market bear that? And that answer hasn't been given because they haven't built a computer model to actually drive this proposal through the Las Vegas region. You see what I'm getting at? That hasn't been done. Now, what was the transportation cost? Airplane Blues asks. What was the transportation cost that Las Vegas wants the Raiders to handle? Yeah, it's some percentage of 900 million. Yeah, some percentage of 900 million. That's a lot. That's a lot. Excuse me. That is a lot of dough to handle. Now, let's see here. What's wrong with the Oakland deal from Fortress? Well, there's nothing really wrong with it except that the NFL says they want the land for free. Or given to them in some kind of way. Or allowed to buy it. David Horta, they are allowing to basically use Oakland and Vegas against one another. It's called extortion. Yeah. But right now it looks like the Raiders are the ones being extorted. By them. The Raiders have set up the situation where they're being extorted now. Whoo, boy. Speaking of bad faith, Rich Gilton, speaking of bad faith, couldn't Alameda County sue the Raiders for the $90 million outstanding debt and sever their lease, kick them out of the Coliseum if they are granted the relocation? Yeah, that could happen. That could happen. That's a very real possibility. It sure is. Is anyone else having stream freezing problems or just me? Let's see here. If you refresh your screen, because I have the stream freezing for me, but when I refresh the screen, it comes back into place and I get the commercial and everything. And you can skip the commercial in 4 seconds or whatever. All right, but everybody else says it's just you. But you might want to try that. Okay, skip ad. If you skip the ad and you come back in, it's hey, you can see what's going on here. Now, I have refreshed, but it's doing more. I don't know what to say. You might want to check your connections and maybe move your connection around. Cell phone stream is good. My TV stream is struggling. Okay. My screen is just fine. Constance says, Top Nolan. Double L says, just a little freeze, that is all. Patrick E, yup, refreshed several times. Ronald S. Horta, my feed is fine. Y'all need better internet. Jason Tarmer has this problem. Airplane Blues, close YouTube and come back. That's a good idea. You might want to do that. Close close your other pages of your browser and free up RAM, and then come back, because that'll fresh it up. Or yeah, but if you have multiple pages open in your browser and other applications open, sometimes that does. You might want to close those, or just simply shut down and come on back. Okay, yeah. Hey, Patrick, you said close browser and have come back to you. Did that work for you, Patrick? Let me know. Double L, who will vote against the Raiders when the league votes? Rams, Chargers, Arizona. I can't see Dean Spanos voting for Mark Davis. I can't, among others. Noe Rabels. Hey Z, did you say yesterday that you had a meeting somewhere today? Yeah, I can't mention the name. I thought I could, but I can't. But I had the meeting, and it was outstanding. And the person is a very high-placed expert in sports finance. I was honored to have a great conversation with us for an entire hour. We hit it off, just wonderful. And we were talking about the deal, and I think, and I'll say it for myself. I'm trying to say as little about him as possible, but I'll say it since I agree with him. Mark Davis is nuts to do this deal. He really is. There's no way you can look at this deal where the Raiders come out looking good. None. You might want to give them a 3-year novelty period and say, okay, everybody's excited because they're there. Then after the 3 years, people get used to it and everything starts tailing off, and suddenly, what was once a surplus becomes a deficit in terms of revenues, and then you got problems. And then not only that, here's the other problem. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Las Vegas and the hotel industry there has a tendency to price gouge, all right? And so as a result, what they do is, if there's a big event like the Consumer Electronics Show, they'll boost hotel daily prices up as much as 300 or 400%, okay? And what they'll do is that in boosting that percentage, they will cause people to stay away. That happened with CES. 50% of the media that was registered to come to CES didn't come because the hotel prices were at a record level of $350 per night. Now imagine that happening for the Raiders, because it will happen if you're talking about 60 to 70,000 people, each weekend during the NFL season that there's a home game. So you're talking about 42% of the people coming from out of town. Let's figure that out. You've got 42% of them, and then you're asking them to pay airfare, which is average $150. Then the room cost is maybe $200. Let's be generous. Let's be kind and let's say it's not $300. Let's say it's $200, but still jacked up, right? Average. Then you've got the ticket price. So you're looking at $450 from those price points alone. Are you going to make the trip on a consistent basis, or even once? Maybe you say, I'll do it next year. Just saying. But think about 42% of the population, the game fan population, being subjected to that economic barrier to entry price. That's untenable. It's just untenable. Now, let's see here. Jerry Jones wants a 9th home game. T.I. Howard, still feel the visitors to Vegas don't go there to see a football game on a Sunday. They're on a flight home. They'd rather see their own team. Yes. Let's see here. Frosty the Snowman. Wow, I'm a new subscriber. Thank you. Welcome. Barry Lee says, welcome, Frosty. Welcome, Frosty. ET123. Rick Rice. How you doing? Hey, Zinni. Can you do this? What was this? Can I do this? What? Can I do this while I'm drunk next time? I haven't been drunk in years. So, sorry. Jason Tarver, it will happen. There's no question about MMA, D-League, Spring Ball. It doesn't matter what the events are, as they will always raise the money. Hi, Zinni. How are you? I'm great. Rich Gooden, those Nolan, and if Las Vegas makes Mark pay any part of that $900 million, that would be the cherry on the cake. I don't know where Mike's going to get that $900 million. I just don't. That's hard. Sunday morning is crazy. Airport is packed. People hungover trying to get home, says John Santos. Anthony Antonucci. Raiders win a title in Oakland. They're going to have more bandwagon fans. That is true. That is very true. Hey, folks, it's 9:37. Can the other radio owners stop Mark? They can. I am going to resume this on... I'm going to resume this early on Saturday at a special time. I'm going to have a Saturday live stream starting at 1 o'clock during the day. 1 o'clock. Mainly because I'm going to cut this short because last night was almost a 3-hour one. I was like, phew, okay. So, do I know when the Oakland A's will make an announcement? They're trying to get them to make an announcement soon, all right? So, Saturday, 1 o'clock Pacific, which will be 4 o'clock Eastern, okay? All right. Zinsters unite on Saturday. Barry Lee said it. That's right. Rich Guyton, do you know when the A's will make an announcement? I don't know yet. But good night, everybody. Good night. Thank you for tuning in. And please, hey, do me a favor. In the comment section area, put the questions you have down there, okay, for the next live stream, right? So that I can have those in place and I can begin to research and answer the ones that are there as in an appropriate fashion. How's that sound? All right. Good night, everybody. Peace. Thank you. Good night. See you. Thank you.